there were many stories that we were working on, but one of them was about, Ed Horn coming back to face new criminal charges. So he had been, all I knew from a small article that I had read about him was that he'd been a school teacher in the Eastern Arctic in the 70s and 80s, and that he had abused a lot of boys, his students, and that he had gone to jail. And there were also there had been two very large civil cases that were settled as well. This was like these two words, what happened, can lead to incredible things. So, for example, I got curious about, okay, well, who hired him or where did he work? How long was he in the North? When was he arrested? How did he get arrested? These are simple questions, but nobody actually knew the answers to these questions. And some of those questions took me years to get answers for, like years,
Wow.
decades. Um, one of the really interesting parts of the story, so, I'm living in the North where it's in Inuit land, most, you have like when I was living in Iqaluit, it was about 50% Inuit and 50% non-Inuit, like me, people that are journalists, teachers, nurses, and government workers and things like that. Um, so you had this place where it was Inuit land. I was really interested in some of the powerful, highly ranked government officials who were white, who were, say, retired or had big jobs or had big jobs in the education department, for example, who would say things to me just in casual conversation like, "Oh, well, I knew Ed Horn very well. He was a friend of mine." And
Ah!
I got interested after a while in the large contact network that Ed Horn had with people in power. And then you had the Inuit, and in some of the communities, some of the poorest people, like um, in the community, who had stories about him being their teacher, stories about what he had done. And I
Mhm.
was really interested in this wide scope that he had in the North, and that he had lived there for 15 years, that he had married an Inuk woman and had Inuit children. So it started to, and that he had learned the language, Inuktitut. That's not an easy language to learn in the North. So all of that led me to get more curious about this criminal and things like, well, what happened to him? Is he still alive?